in another dimension, different than the world we're living in. There is a planet that is famous for its creatures, the residencies. The creatures that live in that planet had great knowledge, evolution, and wisdom. Those creatures are the sirens. They are known for their excellence in every field, sciences, medicine, everything. They were excellent at every single field. They were the superiors on their own dimension. The reason behind their excellence and superiority is still unknown. Only a very few portion of the population know the reason behind their excellence. That was the thing for over centuries and even thousands of years, till the day when the prophecy has came to light. The day when the king and his wife gave birth to their newborn child. When the wife's king gave birth to that soul out of her womb, she brought out a very special guest. Very soon, the population, the king, his wife, and every creature of that planet noticed that the king's newborn child was different. Very different to everyone else. The baby-born child had so much hair on his body that everyone felt disgusted by it. It was the population's dog at the time. During the earliest years of the king's baby, he was a subject to bullying, discrimination, because he was just simply different than others. But always, since he was the king's child, he never felt alone, nor bad about his situation. He had always his father to protect him. Until the day he passed away. The king had died. When that happened, the kid found himself lonely, defenseless, and weak. Now, the father has died. There's no one to protect him from anything. No one to protect him from the looks of the people. No one to say anything nice to him. No one that he can talk to. The population, when this kid found himself defenseless, weak, and lonely, there was nothing protecting him from the population's absurd and disgusting looks. The whispers that were not even whispers. Soon enough, the child realized and figured out that the difference does not consist of the body. It also consists of the brain. Since he has always been different than everyone else mentally, he has always been curious and had great attention to details comparing him to the other kids. His soul has always had a great thirst for knowledge. Doesn't matter how things, small or big, he was always curious about everything, every product, everything. He wanted to know everything, but he never knew why with time. This attention to details and thirst for knowledge gained him a great load of knowledge, information, and wisdom. With great attention to details and intelligence, he realized that he had to get rid of the looks that people give him outside, the whispers that he keeps listening to, the disgusted faces he sees whenever he goes out. The day he gets enough of everything, he realizes that he has to run away from everyone. He knows that he cannot live knowing that everyone hates him. The worst feeling of all is loneliness, which he had been enduring since his father's death. He decided then to escape, but where to escape? After all that time spent with the sirens, he decided that the best place he can escape to has to not have any other sirens or peoples that would bully him. Therefore, he went on an adventure alone. He also wanted to discover all the secrets of the universe. He didn't want to be just another person, creature, He doesn't want to just escape. He wants to go somewhere where he will find the knowledge that his soul thrives to have. Therefore, he went to the mountains of secrets. He walked on the first mountain for minutes, then hours, then days. He didn't stop. He just kept walking and walking till his body fainted. He didn't drink water nor eat anything in the past couple of days. All what he was doing was just walking. A few hours later, the kid wakes up, facing a bee-like creature flying around him, encircled. He looked at the bee, that he had never seen a bee like her. He looked at her in awe, amazement. He stared at the bee for 10 minutes straight, not saying a word, comparing her shape to the bees that he had studied back home, or he cannot call that place home anymore. The bee spoke to him, surprised, with chills all over his body. The kid jumps, rubs his eyes, and cleans his ears as he stares at the bee that just spoke to him. He pinches himself to know whether he's awake or still sleeping, dreaming of things that are not real. Then he slaps his face hard enough to know that he was not sleeping. When the bee saw the kid's reaction, she spoke again. "Relax. We are in the mountains of secrets. Don't be surprised, please. And I see that you are different than the other sirens. I think that we are the same. I'm also different." The adventurer began speaking with her with awe and amazement. He said words that cannot be understood. The bee looked at him. Finally, she smiled and said, while flying around, "What is your name?" "My name is Helena." He looked at her again without saying a word. She flew around his head and he followed her with his eyes. He was awake, just a bit shocked. She continues to speak. Your visit to these mountains is not coincidence or a random act of yours. And I have been waiting here for you for over 1,000 years. The kid looks at Helena in more awe and amazement, not capable of speaking for a couple of seconds before he manages to speak again. But I don't get it. You've been waiting for me? I only know you for about 10 to 15 minutes now. What are you even talking about? And I'm not over 1,000 years old. Helena starts moving around and looks at the kid's eyes, staring at his soul, and says, I know you very well. In fact, you are the one that doesn't know himself. And your desire to know you are is the key and tool that got you here. Aren't you very, very thirsty for knowledge? The bee continued to tell our hero that the mountain has plans, writings, secrets, sciences, and facts that are too great to be known by any of the population. Knowledge that is big enough to gain him the greatest power of all time. And he is the only one that can get through the door. The door that opens another 1,000 doors and hides everything behind. Before our hero can put his hands on that great knowledge, he has to go through a cave in the very, very first mountain. He will be tested so that he can get the chance to know who he is. The test will help him find himself and will help him know why he was chosen. Before he enters the great world of secrets and knowledge, as well as before he leaves his own jail, the jail cell that he built around himself since he was a kid, the jail cell that is his own body. After he spent the desired period of time in that cave, the moment has come. The bee he visited, as he knew and realized that the greatest secret exists within him. He and the bee then went to the great door of secrets, the door that has 1,000 doors and millions of secrets behind it. The moment our hero stood by the door, it opened itself slowly as the rust was coming out of the ceiling. A bright light came out and blinded the scene. The moment our hero walked in, his brain flew as if it was getting pumped with great his brain flew. It was getting pumped with great knowledge, wisdom, millions of secrets. In a second, he knew all sciences, technologies, secrets, and everything. Among those secrets and sciences he had learned, there was the science of dimensions and the multiverses. How to move from a dimension to another, how to open secret doors, how to create portals. And there was his chance to never go back to his world, to the population that underestimated him for years, the people that had bullied him for something he cannot control. Therefore, he opens a portal to another world with the knowledge he had learned. He looks at the other dimension, then looks at the bee, then walks in. He didn't think much about what he was going to do. Our hero, after crossing the portal, fainted, teleporting from a dimension to another, is not that easy. He was found by the creatures of the new dimension. Those creatures were apes, monkeys, not aware nor sentient, yet not devilish like the siren, yet not devilish like the sirens. He decided to stay with the apes, help them become aware, sentient, smart, and he wants to help them build a safe world through the secrets and knowledge he had learned. Therefore, he announced himself as the king of the apes. He made the apes' world prosper. He planted his vision in them, his ideology of accepting others no matter what they look like. The vision was achieved. He led them to learn new secrets and gain a massive knowledge about the universe. He taught them love, tolerance, peace, and generations have passed. And as usual, the apes began to give up on the trees. The apes began to give up on the trees that our hero planted in them. As they became more aware of themselves and sentient, the negative things that go with awareness, such as jealousy, hatred, anger, arrogance, and many others, which led them to split into races, families, and groups. The moment that our hero portaled to another dimension, he didn't leave a king behind him. All of the races and groups wanted to rule the world and become the new king. They all wanted to be the hero of the world. Helena, the bee we mentioned earlier, had already told him about what was going to happen. She had already told him that once a creature becomes sentient, the devilish acts, treats, thoughts, and ideas jump on their head. She had asked him to leave the knowledge she had learned in somewhere that no one will ever find till the day that someone pure enough, faithful enough finds it. That person that would find the great knowledge will go back to the apes. That person would go back to the apes world, the apes dimension, and he will bring peace to them after centuries or thousands of years. Therefore, he left the knowledge in somewhere that no one knows about, and he left without leaving any traces behind. And now, my friends, the story begins in the planet of the apes. The monkey's world consists of NFTs, special for each and every character, that are and will be in our story. And we are working to produce a cryptocurrency that is special for the NFTs that we're selling. And each character in the story will have its own shared design. And the story soon will be adapted by a manga, and we will get a deal to turn it into an anime. And finally, before most, there will be a video game in the metaverse that you can join in by the NFT that you got.
يتوفر عالم القردة على NFT خاص بكل شخصية ستكون في القصة. كما سنعمل على إصدار عملة رقمية خاصة لهذا ال NFT، ولكل شخصية NFT في القصة قميص خاص بها. كما ستكون لهذه القصة مانجا وأنمي خاصان بها. وأخيرا وليس آخرا، لعبة خاصة لهذا العالم في ميتافيرس تستطيع الدخول إليه عن طريق الشخصية المتواجدة بالNFT الخاصة بك.